Corey Seager, if he's not hitting doubles, he is hitting home runs. And certainly Corey Seager not the only one hitting in the Rangers lineup right now. They've won 5 of their last 6 games after dropping 6 of their first 14. I want to talk now to Kennedi Landry, who covers the Rangers for MLB.com. And Kennedy, thanks for being with us today. First and foremost, let's talk about that Gleyber Torres home run and the comments after the game. Take us through what your manager, Chris Woodward, was thinking after that one.
Well, you all heard it. He called Yankee Stadium a little league ballpark. I think it was kind of said in jest. It was a joke. He said after game 2 that it was a joke, but you know, it was a long fly out. John King is a pitcher that doesn't normally give up a ton of home runs, so I think he was more defending his pitcher than, you know, taking a shot at Gleyber in Yankee Stadium. But honestly, I didn't think much of it when he said it after the game 1, and then after game 2, I saw he was trending on Twitter. It was like, that's never good. So, you know, we asked Woody about it after the game. He said just as much, that it was kind of a joke, but obviously it stirred up some feelings, I'd say.
Yeah, the joke's on the opposition when it comes to the Rangers pitchers, because in the span, Kennedy, of where they've won 5 of their last 6 games, the Rangers pitchers are pitching to a tune of a 1.83 earned run average. What have you noticed from those arms collectively that's making them so effective?
I mean, I think Martin Perez taking a huge step forward is the biggest thing. He has a 3 ERA right now. He's been really the Rangers' best pitcher, and it's not even particularly close. And even when you look at guys like Dane Dunning and Glenn Otto, who have really just taken a step forward in their development this last year, going from their rookie season 21 to now, and even Taylor Hearn, who probably hasn't been quite as good as he'd want, has been serviceable in the rotation. And even John Gray has been on the IL for half the season, and he was the Rangers' big offseason signing to 4 years and $56 million. So, you know, I think the Rangers pitching staff, the rotation in itself has been phenomenal, and it can only go up if John Gray really gets healthy, who's pitching today, actually.
Yeah. And Joe Barlow in the closer spot has had a lot of success. What is it about that 9th inning where he seems to thrive?
Chris Woodward talked about this today, and Joe Barlow is just such a calm guy. He doesn't really recognize the pressure, and even if he does, it doesn't affect him at all. He just comes in, does his job, throws strikes. He rarely even gives up hits. He gave up a walk last night in the 9th inning of game 2, but that's you know, an anomaly for him. Joe Barlow has really just grown as a young pitcher into that role, and it's really not something you would have expected watching him grow through the minors. But once he came up last year, he's just kind of been lights out ever since.
One thing that the Rangers do need to get going, Kennedy, as you know better than anybody, is their offense. Just one starter right now hitting above 250. The Rangers in the offseason spent $500 million on Semien and Seager, and we're still waiting for Semien to get that first home run. We know it's going to come. Yeah. But what have you noticed so far about the position players up and down that lineup?
I mean, on Semien, Chris Woodward has consistently said he's not worried about him. Semien is not notoriously a slow starter, but even last year when he finished 3rd in MVP voting, he kind of got off to a slow start in April. He does have multi-hit games in 3 of the last 4. I think he's going to hit his stride. Marcus Semien is like the last person anybody on this team is worried about. But the rest of the lineup, I think they're having good at-bats. They're hitting the ball hard, a lot of them. They're just really not hitting it where people aren't. New hitting coaches, Donnie Eckert and Tim Hires, have really, you know, created this entirely new process. It's a simple process that allows the hitters to work counts and have quality at bats. They really do just need to hit the ball where the position players aren't.
You have a rubber match today with the New York Yankees. Of course, a couple of these games having been postponed because of weather. And this is a Rangers team that, you know, not a lot of people put a lot of stock into at the beginning of the season in the AL West. Why should we be paying more attention?
Hey, I mean, I know the Rangers did lose 100 games last year, but this team is already miles ahead of where that team was. It doesn't exactly show up in the record just yet, but they have won 2 of their last 3 series and have a chance to take this one today. They beat the defending national champion Braves at home, and they took 2 from the Phillies at Citizen Bank. I think this team has a lot of ways to grow, and you know, they're winning games even right now when their best players aren't really putting together the best games. So I think once Seager and Semien, Adolis Garcia, Mitch Garver, all these guys, if they start putting things together, this can be a really good team. You know, they're not in the last place of the AL West standings right now, so they have a long way to go, but I think this is just the first step of a good Rangers rebuild, getting out of that.
Yeah, it's certainly still early in this young 2022 season. You had mentioned that John Gray is pitching today, activated off of the IL. He was the Rangers' opening day starter. He spent a lot of time so far on the IL. Good to get him back. What's the actual expectation, though, coming off that IL? What are Chris Woodward and the staff hoping to get from him today?
They're hoping to get around 80 pitches. Maybe he can push 90 if he's really cruising through the first half of this game, but I think they just want him to continue building up and hopefully get him fully healthy so he can really hold down the top of this rotation like they signed him to do. Those 2 IL stints really hindered what the Rangers really wanted him to do, but I think John Gray, he's really developed. He has a new slider this season that he worked on with the Rangers pitching coaches in spring, and I think if he really gets a chance to use those new things that he's worked on, he'll be exactly what the Rangers need.
All right, John Gray, Nestor Cortez, the pitching matchup today. Of course, you can see that game right here on MLB Network after High Heat. Kennedi Landry joining us now from MLB.com. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to be with us.
Thank you so much.